Top 25 college football picks, week 11. Let's go. And we start with Miami and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech coming off of a bye. They have plenty of rest to sit here and wait for Miami to come into town. And Miami's coming in 9-0. And listen, this is the first time Miami's been in the top 4 in I don't know how long. But Miami spent a lot of energy in a comeback last week against Duke. Now they're laying a lot of points, 11.5 on the road to a Georgia Tech team that's really been underrated all season long. This is the biggest game of the year for Georgia Tech. They're off of a bye. They're really rested for this team. And I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if Georgia Tech wins this game outright. Outright, you heard it here. But the 11.5 is a gift. Take it. Can't back Purdue against Ohio State. Purdue just has no firepower whatsoever. They could be down by 28 at halftime. Ohio State really needs to run up the score big time on this game. I know they're coming off Penn State and they're coming off a big game, but Ohio State should roll. They should win by 40 or more. Florida, Texas. Florida's coming off a nice ATS cover last week against Georgia, and I think they spent a ton of energy only to come up short, and that's very deflating. This is a weird line, though. Texas opened up 24.5. I know it's down to 21.5, but Texas should roll in this situation. I'm going to lay the points over Florida. I think Texas is far superior, and Texas is more rested and more healthy than Florida at this point. Lay the points. Virginia Tech, Clemson, both teams coming off bad losses. Clemson coming off of a home loss to Louisville by 2 touchdowns, and Virginia Tech coming off a loss at Syracuse. But I think Virginia Tech's the better team here against a higher-ranked opponent. Virginia Tech's not even ranked. I'll take Virginia Tech plus the touchdown at home. Thanks. Iowa State at Kansas. This looks like a trappy line at only 3. And normally I would take the 3 with Kansas. Kansas has played well lately, and they played Kansas State very tough, but Iowa State's really much better. I'm going to have to lay the 3 on the road at Kansas. Michigan keeps it close with Indiana, I think. I'll take the 13. Georgia's going to beat Mississippi this week. Lay the points. Army's going to bounce back and get an ATS cover. They won last week but didn't cover, but they're going to cover this week again. They'll be 7-1 ATS after North Texas. Texas Tech's going to surprise the Buffaloes this week. Take the points. Surprising South Carolina, who we had last week, who beat Texas A&M. A good Texas A&M team is catching Vandy at a good time. Vandy's coming off of a very tough game last week at Auburn. Spent a lot of energy in beating Auburn. They're in for a big surprise here. South Carolina big over Vandy. Maryland has no shot against Oregon this week. Oregon. I like Tennessee to bounce back against Mississippi State. Lay the points. Bama's going to beat LSU this week. Lay the 3. No way I'm touching Florida State. Notre Dame should roll up the points, and they need to for the pollsters. Take Notre Dame and lay it. One of the bigger plays this week should be Virginia catching 7.5 at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh coming off a bad performance last week at SMU. Pittsburgh had their ATS run earlier this season. Expect Virginia to give it their all, especially to get into a big bowl. Take Virginia plus the 7.5 at Pitt. They'll keep it close. Have to back Penn State in this situation here at home. Back-to-back home games. They beat up on bad teams. They don't play well against good teams. They had a shot last week at Ohio State, but Washington's really not that good this year. Take Penn State at home. They should roll by 2 touchdowns. I like Nevada to keep it close against Boise State. 25's way too many. And look for Utah to upset BYU this week. 8-0 BYU. Yes, 8-0 BYU. But Utah is the play this week, plus the 4. We're going to close it out with Utah State plus the 20 over Washington State. Not big. I mean, Utah State gives up a ton of points, and we know Washington State can score. But Utah State can score too. Look for a high-scoring game, but Utah State to get the late cover.